we're back again. Um, After a 2 week hiatus, we're back again. So, for returning viewers and listeners, welcome back. For those who are new and seeing our faces for the first time, we're Nick and Ron, hosts of Legacy of the King, is a podcast for men who want to elevate themselves and their lives, have meaningful relationships, and yeah, to master themselves essentially.
So, welcome to the Legacy of the King family.
Yeah,
I hope to see you guys again soon. And also to add to what Ron just mentioned about what we are about, um, informally, I'd like to say this is not about a men bashing women um, forum. So, even though you hear men trying to elevate, is not what some other forums are about. This is about bringing equality and balance back into relationships and life on the whole.
yeah,
From
yeah. And this is also not a simple podcast.
yes,
We're not the ones um, that bow down and kneel before and lick the feet of women either. Like Nick said, it's about balance. It's about repairing the male female dynamic back to the way it was meant to be. Because if we're being honest, prior to what society is now, there were certain traits that were innate within the man and the woman, and that has been corrupted since. And we are doing our little part by sharing our thoughts, our experiences to repair that.
yeah. So on that note, how are you, bro?
Tired, if I'm being honest. Tired. Um, how weekends tend to go for me, especially these past 2 months. So it tends to be very tiring. But we try to make the commitment to the podcast as much as possible, not just because we feel we have to do it, but because it's something that we're passionate about and that we want to continue. It's just life happens, and new things come in, and that just kind of disrupt that a little bit. But other than that, long story short, tired but good. How
Hmm.
about you?
Feel like that line tired but good has been something I've been saying and repeat for quite some time now.
Yeah,
I feel like it's more than 2 months for me, but it goes back to what you mentioned just now about you know yeah, we go in because we have not because you're operating on feelings or emotions means you have to put down things, but you have a responsibility to
yeah,
yourself, to
yeah,
your community, to your family, and um, you just have to, regardless of what, you have to be consistent. You have to put in the work,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And in order for the change to happen, the change that we want to see in ourselves and in the world, must start within us.
yeah.
And
Agreed.
it starts with, you know, as you had mentioned previous episodes, like the small things, the small habits that we need to change on a daily basis. Just making a conscious effort, conscious step to make those changes to become better in all aspects. Um, so, having said all that, I am tired but good as well.
Yeah, good. So before we get into the actual conversation for today, let me just remind everybody we are on all podcasting platforms and on Instagram. All right, you can find us at Legacy of the King underscore official on Instagram. All right, so make sure and check us out. Give us a like, a follow, a thumbs up, a comment, anything that you feel to do, you do.
Yeah,
We even taking trolls.
correct, correct. So, without further ado, today's topic is actually based on a topic that I've been hearing coming up fairly recently and has seemed to be or seems to be lingering in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And even though I haven't heard about it, there's just people in the office and stuff, people around us, the immediate environment that you hear things and you get develop ideas and things to talk about, discussions to be had, and important points especially. So even though I haven't heard about it within this past week, two, or maybe the last month or so, it seems to be an air that is looming in the background, you
Mm,
know? And that is a topic about marriage
mm,
or relating to marriage, I should say.
mm,
And the question was asked whether, and this is me trying my best to remember the exact thing of the question, but since this is a podcast talking about elevating men and bringing balance back, uh, if a man, what is the benefit, sorry, of a man getting married,
mm,
especially if he can find all the things possibly individualized, right, and not as a collective whole from various areas outside of marriage.
mm,
And so, for example, jumping straight into the most obvious thing, sex, right? If you could get sex by, I would say, a friend with benefits, a
yeah,
whole house,
fundamental. Yeah,
or whatever the case is, right?
yeah,
Um, let me say the guy lives, I just kind of give an extreme situations, right? The guy lives with his mother or parents or whatever the case is, or he has somebody that provides meals for him, right? He has a shelter, right? Again, let's say if you're living with his parents or if you're renting or whatever the case is. Um, and pretty much all of his needs are met. What is the benefit of that man becoming married? Because the flip side of that, so it's a twofold question. The flip side of that is that, well, for some time now, based on us observing statistics, we've seen divorce rates going up,
yeah,
right? Especially in our community, our Black community.
yeah,
And the rate of trauma has also gone up, both before marriage as well as after. So, Yeah, that's how I wanna ask that question.
Right. So, what is does it even make sense for a man to get married? That's what you're asking.
Correct. Based on hearing what I heard.
Right. So, I think the answer that I'm going to give will obviously spark discussion. But I think the discussion needs to be had.
Of course.
I would say it like this. Currently, in a general sense, no, it doesn't make sense for a man to be married. And if you notice, I qualified the answer before I said no. Currently, in a general sense, no. Why? Because, like I would have said um, at the beginning, society has changed so much that the the traits of the man and the woman that have been innate in us for thousands of years have been corrupted
Mm.
to the point where a man doesn't know where he stands and a woman doesn't know where she stands anymore. And modern society will tell you, you know, gender roles were a social construct, and we need to do away with gender roles because we live in a modern society now, and women are making their own, and this and that, and they don't need a man anymore, and so on and so forth. And they've qualified their reasons with material things. And what we need to realize is that beyond the material, and this essentially answers the first aspect of the question. Beyond the material, meaning for the woman, money; for the man, sex or food. Um, Beyond that, the man and the woman need each other in order to not go crazy. Like for want of better of better articulation. Like we in our right minds, when we're in our right minds, meaning, and I know these phrases are being overused now,
Mhm.
but I can't use anything else. But when the man is in the divine masculine and the woman is in the divine feminine, we complement each other so well that can we have no limit to what we could be. So when we're in our right minds, we stop each other from going crazy. But the way we are now, both men and women, we do each other more harm than good.
Mm.
Right? We do each other more harm than good. Now, having said that, it is still more beneficial for a woman to get married than a man to get married because society has created certain legislation that allows for women to benefit from divorce. So it seems as though a man is taking a big risk in getting married in this day and age because a lot of not all, again, not all, but a lot of women are using marriage as a conduit to secure their life. Right? They're using marriage as an insurance policy essentially.
Mhm. Yeah.
So um, Generally, the way it is right now, I would say no. However, I must say that it can be beneficial if you do certain things as a man. It can be beneficial if you do certain things. So that's my answer, right? So we could we could discuss it after.
I'm sure our viewers probably wondering what he talking about. What's them things? But that's yeah. Because I remember when you and I spoke before, there was one particular part of the conversation, not exactly on this topic, but very very similar, or maybe like a branch of, and that was the older both men and women get is the more you'll be looking for somebody, a partner to settle down with, to enjoy life with,
Yeah,
to, you know, because at the end of the day, when, as you know, the older any species of nature gets, is the slower you start to move, is the more you want to take your time and do things. What's he saying? Slowly is the fastest way to go.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, you just want to take your time. You don't want to be, you're not young anymore, so you can't be hustling as much, or at least you should not be trying to. Um, and time just shows you that, your body is aging. Your Even though your mind may be sharp, you may not have, certain response times as you would when you were younger and certain things like that. So you would want to settle down and slow down with somebody. No, that's probably most, but obviously there are always exceptions, right? So people always feel that they could still go like if they was 20 and in the
yeah,
70s.
yeah,
But we're not talking about those people. We're not talking about the exceptions. We're talking about, the
yeah,
majority. And yeah, you just want somebody that you could, want of a better phrase, you want somebody to call your own, that you would have at your side, next to you, supporting you, basically.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
But I think that we're not in that situation right now because here's why I want people to realize, right? Everything that we consume, every bit of information or content that we consume, programs us to some extent. Yes, our brains are programmable. Whether you want to believe it or not,
hmm,
our brains are programmable. That is why you have advertisements. That is why people pay tens of thousands of dollars for a five, no wait, not even that, millions of dollars for a 5 second spot during the Super Bowl or during the World Cup. Because commercials, advertisements, pieces of content on social media, television shows, movies, podcasts, all of these things program us and influence us to some extent, either to a minuscule extent or to a life changing extent. And if we look at what has influenced us, or the majority of people who live in modern quote unquote society, over the past 20 years has been pop culture.
Mm.
The music, the TV shows, the celebrity information, um, views from celebrities on certain topics, whether it's regarding relationships or society or what they think should happen. And we've given them so much authority in our lives that they have influenced the way the our generation, the millennials, and the generation after us, the Gen Zs, so much so that the sticking point as it relates to marriage has come in these two generations.
Mm.
Right? Divorce has increased significantly in these two generations. Foregoing having children has increased dramatically in these two generations.
Yeah.
And that, yes, it also has to do with our ability to earn now, despite being the most educated two generations.
Mhm.
But it also has to do with the content that we have been consuming over the past 20 years. You know, you've had the rap songs talking about, having how many hoes or having how many girls, and you dealt with one girl this night and you dealt with another girl this night, and then you have the woman on the other side where they don't need no man and they're independent and Miss Independent, and
Mm.
this, and I could get my own bag and I could buy my own car and I could have my own house and I don't need you for nothing. All I need you for is sex, or if I want to have a baby, I could use you as a sperm donor. Like, these are the narratives that have been coming out over the past 20 or so years. And it's not just the adults being influenced by this, the children are being influenced by this because the parents are not protecting their children from this kind of content or this kind of music. They're listening and looking at these things in the presence of their children. And their children are also being influenced by it. So now when these children become teenagers, when you're supposed to be learning about yourself and trying to figure yourself out, or your parents are helping you figure yourself out. Your parents didn't even figure themselves out, right? And they are being influenced by the content. So now you think you know yourself because you have been shaped by this content, and you think that this viewpoint that you have is entirely you. But now people in our generation, the millennials, as well as people in the Gen Zs, they are realizing the older they get that the narrative that they've um, identified themselves with in the long term is not serving them. There's so many girls now with OnlyFans, and the only thing they need men for is their money and so on and so forth, and the independent and blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, when you hit 39 and 40, because some of them already have, and they're now starting to realize, like, barring the money, I need companionship, and that is the most important thing. Now there are a lot of millennial women now that have achieved the bachelor's, master's, PhD. They have their own home. They have two cars. They have real estate property that they rent in. They travel all over the place. They have girls' trips and so on.
The career
But
driven.
then, yeah, they're career driven. But then they come home to an empty house or an empty apartment.
Mhm.
And we've seen it on social media where women are coming out now and saying, "Where are all the good men? And I need companionship, and It'd be nice to have somebody that you could just spend time with, and not just, and it's not just about sex, it's more than that. And yeah, you didn't give yourself a chance for that when it really mattered. And it's the same thing that's happening to the guys. Like a lot
Correct.
of the guys when they 18, 19, 20, and they got they were able to earn money fast in the 20s, and they use that ability to now go and play the field, have sex with a lot of women, a lot of women, a lot of women. And they're now 36, 38, and the sex with a lot of women is getting old now, and it's boring. And the woman, not even, like, all of them looking the same now.
Mm.
There's nothing unique because there's nothing going on in here. I'm not saying that they're stupid. What I'm saying is that there's nothing to stimulate your mind.
Correct.
There's nothing that would spark your soul, like something different about this person.
Mm.
Like, yeah, they're attractive, but there's something different. Like, they're not getting that. So now there's like, wow, I don't want a model. I just want a good woman. It's kind of too late for that dude because you have a reputation now.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
you're known to be this womanizer or whatever. So you probably have a future run by a few of these women, and you're paying child support for two or three or four women. So you're spending what is now unnecessary money that you could have not have to spend if you made different decisions. Right?
Mm.
And I think at this point we have to realize that the narratives that we adhere to over the past 20 years are not serving us now.
Mm.
And if we want a different life, we have to make different decisions.
Correct. And it benefits no one to live in regret.
No.
Benefits no one.
Yeah. Like, you can't change the past, but you have to understand that if you want companionship and marriage, you need to realize that you need to stop and reprogram yourself. You need to realize that innate in us, men, we want to provide and protect. In return, all we want is peace, companionship, support. That's it. Women want to nurture and feel and love, and in return, they want to feel secure. They want to feel protected. They want to feel appreciated.
Loved.
They want to feel loved,
Mhm.
right? And if you allow yourself to be that again, you realize that the type of people you attract is going to change. Right now, as a womanizing guy, you're only going to attract women that want you for your resources, or they probably want you for your looks or your body or whatever,
Something to be used for.
something to be used disposably, because
Correct.
ultimately we're always being used, but it's how we're being used.
Yeah.
All right. But in this case, disposably. You don't want to be used disposably. Like, okay, I get what I need to get, bye bye. Peltier frame.
Yeah, the first part was hard pill, just in case people were like, wait, it was being used.
Yeah,
Just
think about it. Like,
hard pill to swallow, but yeah,
yeah, like we're always being used. Like, come on, we
Hmm,
use each other all the time, but
correct.
it's how we're being used. Like, like for example, you buy a dog. What you buy the dog for?
Security,
Not to secure your house, companionship.
correct.
You're using the dog for security and companionship and so on.
Companionship,
And
yeah,
in return, you are giving the dog
food,
care and a shelter and food and attention in some cases and so so there's an exchange.
a mutual
Yeah,
relation.
there's a mutual relationship. We are using each other, but that use is building the other up.
Correct. It's not to the detriment of
It's
one.
not to the detriment of one. It's not like a parasitic relationship.
Correct. Back to school.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so on the other hand, now the general thing is I have shape, I have a nice body. I am going to use my physical appearance, my beauty, to get money from that man, or I find that guy is attractive. I don't want nothing, I don't want a relationship with him because I have issues in my life and I can't trust no man, but I find he attractive, so I will use him for sex and then I will bust out.
Yep. Yep.
And that is so we can't trust each other. Like I can't trust you because I think you want me for my money or you just want to have sex with me, and you can't trust me because I just you think I just want to have sex with you. So there's a there's trust issues between the genders.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to we have to mend that bridge. We have to mend that bridge, and the only way you mend that bridge is you have to fix the foundations on each side first. You can't just build the bridge again when the foundation's still broken because the bridge will just collapse on itself.
Correct.
So when I would have said you have to do certain things first before you choose to get married, the first thing you need to do as a man,
Hold on,
eh,
just now. I'm sorry to cut you, but just want to slip in this part. So the second part of the question that I initially asked, all of these points that you just previously mentioned and that you're going to mention now are touching on that, which was the part about where I was asking about the trauma, both
yeah,
before and after marriage.
yeah,
So right now you're bringing everything together.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the first thing, and this deals with the before marriage part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have to realize, and we were in a meeting talking about this, and yesterday, and I would have mentioned this some years ago too. And I think, like in multiple podcasts, we have to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror and see ourselves for who we are without defense. We have to be honest about ourselves. Listen, I have big flaws, I have serious trauma. I am this way because of so and so and so and so and so. But it doesn't stop there. Just because you are this way because of whatever doesn't mean you have to remain that way because of whatever. You have to do what you need to do to get over those situations, right? Some people are able to not have to go to therapy because they're introspective enough that they can purchase a few books, sit with themselves for a while, probably talk to an elder that they trust, and within a few years or a few months they'll be fine, and they can start the process of healing. Others
That's
may need therapy.
does not that doesn't seem to be the majority.
Yeah, it's not the majority, but there are some that can do it.
Yeah, because
Others,
what
however, would
tends
need
to
it.
happen, sorry to cut you, bro, again, is that people um they think that they fall into that category and say,
Yeah,
well, nah, I don't need no help. I don't think I could just, read this and do this. And then next thing you know, after a week or a couple of days, they start reading the book, read a couple of pages, and they like get fed up and then they fall right back into,
yeah. But if it's important to you, if it's important to the person, it's not about what you feel,
mm,
because you have to look at your habits.
correct.
Like who you are is found in your habits. Who
Yeah,
you are is found in your habits. And if you don't, if you think you know everything, but your habits is, if you think you know what you need to change, and but your habits not showing that you even making that effort, then your life is going to reflect your habits.
correct. And this is one of the points that I had forgot. This conversation here is what we forgot to mention in the episode we had about why we lie to ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, whereby people, going back to the first thing you said when you started off this particular point, you have to look in the mirror truthfully without
Yeah.
self-defense,
Hmm.
you know and a lot of people are or seem to be delusional, especially the two generations you had mentioned, um, that we highlighted in this particular episode, Gen Zs and the millennials. And because even in my small subset of people I interact with daily, or pretty much almost daily, um, I've seen that on countless times. But I just choose to stay quiet because, I mean, it makes no sense telling them anything. They have to figure it out for themselves, you know? And yeah, but go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Um, and as I mentioned, it's the same thing. It's the same thing where I work, and in my neighborhoods, like you, there's so many single parent homes for that reason, because everybody believes that they know what is right for them, and they probably do. But if we look at the life that you live and the things that you're going through,
Hmm.
like it doesn't seem like you know what is right for you,
You do
because
equate.
it doesn't equate. Because if you knew what was right for you, then your life would be different, wouldn't it? Like we all go through things. Nobody's saying no. Like even wealthy people go through stress, but there are certain aspects of your life that you can't control, and if you're not able to control it, for example, the people you attract.
Hmm.
Because I'll be honest, like I'll get personal here. Prior to my current relationship, my previous relationships was essentially the same type of person.
Hmm.
Was the same type of person. No father in the home, or the father was not strong, and therefore there was something missing. right? That guidance, that fatherly love, that protection, that um, the the positive affirmations that was missing, and therefore that person showed themselves to the world in a particular way.
mm,
But the person that I was also attracted that type of person because I myself was lacking certain things.
all right.
I didn't have the confidence in myself. I had certain bad habits. I walked through the world without that assertiveness, that certainty. And because of that, I attracted people who were also missing something. And the relationships were back to front in a sense because it it started with just that the physical interaction and not the psychological interaction, the mental interaction, the mental stimulation, that getting to know each other
Mm,
from a mental, psychological, spiritual perspective. That was foregone, and we only focused on the physical. And then when it was time where you had to deal with the psychological interaction, who we are as people, and so on, there would always be
right.
clashes. There would always be
When it's time to answer the hard questions.
when it's time to answer the hard questions. There would always be that, and it never worked out. And you would have the toxic arguments, the infidelity, and the heartbreak, and so on and so forth. And you just get to a point. Some people aren't able, aren't able to learn from these experiences, and they what they do to kind of protect themselves, they generalize the opposite sex.
Mm, mm,
Like all men are dogs. Can't trust no man. All women, you can't trust no woman. All of them just lie. All of them just cheat, and so on, right? And
yeah,
and people do that generally to protect themselves from heartbreak, to protect themselves from pain. But that shouldn't be the way you handle it. The way you handle it, you need to look at it from
mm,
an individual perspective, a you perspective. You have to look at yourself in
correct.
these situations. You have to realize there's a pattern. I'm attracting this type of man. I'm attracting this type of woman. Why am I attracting this type of woman? What is it about me that's attracting this type of woman?
Because we are the common denominator.
Yeah, we are the common name. If I am if every woman that I am attracting, that I am ending up in relationships with, have the same traits, then there has to be something about me that is attracting this type of woman. And
Mm,
and ladies, you have to look at it from that point of view as well. Like I know we don't have, like, the majority of our audience is women, right? But and not women, men. But the women that are listening, you need to realize that there's something about you that is attracting a womanizing man. There's something about you that's attracting an abusive man. There's something about you
a
that's
waste man.
attracting a waste man who mooching off for you. So you have to figure out what it is, why, and that's what I did, and what
Mm,
I chose to do. As difficult as it was at the time, I chose to be alone.
mm,
Because if it jump from one bad relationship into another relationship, you're not giving yourself the time to heal
so he-
and to figure yourself out. So you need to deliberately give yourself time to figure yourself out. stay away from all kinds of romantic or sexual relationships. Do not have friends with benefits. Don't have no boyfriend. Don't have no girlfriend. Don't have, like, stay away from that. Have a platonic friends, and make sure and have good platonic friends, please, because that is another issue. When you
Tribe,
have when
tribe.
you have your tribe, like we have an episode on tribe as well. When you trying to make good decisions in life, but your friends constantly making bad decisions and they're encouraging you to make bad decisions, you need a new set of friends. And
Correct,
it's not a joke. This is not a by the way thing. Like I need new friends. No, like this is serious.
correct. So just for ease of reference for viewers, uh, because I've recommended this episode so many times, I remember it offhand. Tribe is episode 6. So please refer to episode 6.
Yeah, just toggle the YouTube
We'll put it
to
there.
yeah, we'll put it right and just check it out because that the circle that you surround yourself with, it has a big impact on your life, a big impact.
Hmm.
And if you want to live a particular life, you need to be around people that are either living that life or aspiring to live that life.
Yeah,
You can't want to get married, but you have friends who like to run through one set of woman and they're drinking a lot and they're always partying and they're not doing anything productive. If you want to be married and you want to probably start a business or you want to do whatever, you need to be around people who doing that or on their way to doing that.
correct. There's a African proverb, as you know, bro, that talks about buying clothes from a naked man.
From a naked man, yeah,
Why
yeah,
would you do that?
yeah.
Hmm. So it was a point that you made just now that I forgot, but it was an important point. I hope I remember it. Um, but yeah, like the trauma that we continue to have, we have to do something. We have to make a change. We have to walk a different, make a paradigm shift from what we already know in our life. And because in order to be or experience something new, you have to do new things. You can't expect to be doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect something different, a different result. It
That's
don't work.
insanity.
Correct. So and the word, the more trending word now that people like to use, delulu, you know.
Yeah,
So so we really need to put in the work. We need to put in the work and introspect, try to make the hard decisions and really look in the mirror truthfully without self-defense and put aside the distractions. I would have mentioned that before in previous episodes. Put aside the distractions because, as you know, the our environments influence us a lot, especially in the current times, because you're always being bombarded by something, whether it's social media, whether it's your phone, whether it's distractions through, you know, certain types of busyness that may lead to unconstructive things. There's such a thing. Um, because you would need time to spend in nature. You would need time to reconnect. You would need time to do things that you're passionate about, that you love, you know, and to just come back to that equilibrium. And for those who have not experienced that yet or have not done that yet or don't know how, just try to focus or pinpoint something in your mind that you like to do, right? That is not related to social media.
Mm. But you know
So,
something, bro? As I mentioned nature, you know why? You know, I realized today. I realized that some people actually don't like nature.
I realize, yeah, I realize that too.
Some
So,
people don't like nature. Like they would go. Okay, so that some people would leave, let's say, the U.S. and they would come to a Caribbean island, and they would stay in the hotel.
yeah,
Like they wouldn't go on the beach. They wouldn't go on a hike. They wouldn't like surround themselves in like you come from a concrete jungle to go and stay in a hotel on an island.
correct.
Like there's so much of the world to explore. There's so many things to do, but they're literally afraid of like they don't like nature. They're afraid of nature. They don't want bugs flying around them. They don't want to see like a bird on top of a tree or like
Or
it's real
insect,
weird. Or
and walking
insect a
around.
ant walking by them. Like they don't want no, they don't want none of that. Like but they don't realize that putting your foot in dirt
Grass or dirty.
or grass like readjust your entire being, like it fixes you.
Hmm,
Like they don't realize how important that is. Like reconnecting because as much as we hate to admit it, it we are part of nature. And because we have consciousness, we think that we don't need to be a part of that because we have technology. Like
correct.
if like if technology is the best thing on the planet. You want to know what's technology? That tree that just grew from a seed that was less than that was less than a centimeter big.
Hmm.
That 20-foot tree.
Correct.
That's
That, that
technology.
that both stretches above the earth and below.
At the same, yeah, both 20 foot below, 20 feet below, and 20 feet above, all
Correct.
started from this one half a centimeter seed
Correct. And at the same time, still provides life for everything else.
for everything else. Like you have to understand the connectedness, and you need to reconnect to that. You need to tap into that. That is part of what's going to help fix you, because that's something that I did as well. Like, yeah, I went to therapy, but trust me, therapy didn't do as much as going in nature and being introspective did.
Correct.
Trust me, and you need to. It's easier said than done, but if you want to fix yourself, you need to kill your ego. You need to realize you don't know everything.
Say it again for those in the back.
You need to realize you don't know everything. You don't know everything. The more you know is the more you realize you don't know. The amount of information that I've gathered and that Nick has gathered over the years is the more we realize, we know shit.
Yes. I remember having a conversation about that exact same thing this week.
Yeah,
People always feel they know.
yeah. Especially people in our country.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
In Trinidad, and I was having a conversation just this evening about that. I'll give an example. When you go to another country, like for example, Like when I went to Brazil, like this was my experience. When I went to Brazil, and I tell people I'm from Trinidad. Where's that? It's in the Caribbean. Oh, it's in the Caribbean. Okay. So what kind of culture is it like? And they're asking me questions about my country, my culture, where like what how did it become that way? What kind of food we have? Okay, why that type of food? Oh, that sounds very similar to here. Things like that, right?
So you can actually have a conversation.
They have because they're trying to learn about you and about your culture.
Mhm.
Let it be the other way around. Somebody from Brazil coming to Trinidad. Where you from? From Brazil. Oh, you from Brazil? Oh, Ronaldinho.
And it
Oh,
is do that dancing thing where you just be tapping your foot fast, fast, fast.
that is samba place. That is samba place. That is samba and thing. I hear the girls real nice. The girls real nice. The girls real nice. Yeah, I hear the girls real nice over there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a friend that went over there. You know. You see the difference? The difference? The Trinidadian trying to tell the Brazilian about Brazil
Mhm.
because they have a friend who went over, or because they see something on TV, or because they see a footballer do a dance after a celebration of for a celebration of a goal, and they
Correct.
feel they know everything about Brazil. Like why we have to feel we know all the time? Why?
Because
We
see,
are we are an island, a
our
dot.
forefather built a boat and his name was Noah, right?
Hmm.
So we've adopted the no mentality.
Like it's sad, and that's what's keeping us as a people down. We are a speck of dust on a giant ball going through space. And we think we know everything.
Hmm.
People in Trinidad don't even know everything about Trinidad. But we feel we know everything about the world and about people in the world. It's like,
Uh,
come on. Like, take another example, right? You could go and like, okay, so you're building a business, and that business is then something that it's not it isn't unique in the sense of the market. There's a market for it already, right? A Trinidadian would say, nah, they ain't gonna work it. I plenty of that already. How you know that? So because Adidas started in 1950 whatever, then Nike should not start because already have Adidas. They're already doing shoes.
Followed by Puma and
Well, Adidas and Puma start around the same time because
okay,
it's brothers.
right, right, right.
But because of that, then nah, Nike shouldn't think. And Under Armour shouldn't start. And New Balance shouldn't because it already have Adidas and Puma. Right? We need to stop that whole I know everything. You know? Like we better than that. Like I know Trinidadians, we better because like I always say, like we have real potential as people, you know? We are real potential as people. Like we're very talented people. Very, very talented people. But we need to kill the ego.
That brings
We
that reminds me of something because On top of them feeling that they know because they already have or are egotistical, our people, they if you try to tell them otherwise, the ego gets higher.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know? It's so funny. That's wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But to solve many of our problems. Like I know today the topic is about marriage, but in order to solve that marriage problem and that relationship problem, in addition to all of the other problems, we have to realize that we don't know everything. Our ego is preventing us from learning more about ourselves first and then about the world around us. And we need to come humbly and interact with new pieces of information that could help us make different decisions. Because, like, for example, right? If I want to, if you, okay, you have a business and your business start and it's small, but you want to go from a small business to a medium-sized business. The knowledge that helped you start a small business is not going to help you start turn that small business into a medium-sized business. And if you want to go from medium-sized to a large conglomerate, the knowledge that helped you build a medium-sized business is not going to help you build a conglomerate, a large conglomerate. So there's different pieces of knowledge. So if you want to go from attracting toxic gold digging women to attracting a high value woman, and I need to qualify or define what a high value woman is, because like all of this, like the high value thing is everywhere now. I was a high value man, I was a high value woman, and all of these different things, right?
Hot topic, hot topic.
So I am currently writing another blog. So I'll give a little excerpt from the blog to kind of qualify what a high value woman is, especially from a man's perspective, because um like women are defining what they think a high value woman is, right? But they are defining that from they're defining that so that they can feel good about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from their it's like it's almost like a feminist definition, right? So like they would the woman would say that a high value woman is someone who has like um the educational credentials, like the bachelor's, the master's, the doctorates, and so on. She have cars, she has property, she has a six-figure income or a seven-figure income, and she's uh, an executive in a company, or she's a successful entrepreneur, and all of these things, right? That's usually their definition of a high-value woman. And then the you have the red pill. You have the manosphere people, the MGTOWs and them, who would say that a high value woman is someone who's physically attractive, and they just shut up, they don't question what they had to say, and they agree with everything that they say, and they allow them to have one set of women outside, and that's their definition. But both of those definitions have long-term disadvantages, because for the woman's definition, they're going to end up alone. For the men's definition, they're going to end up alone. So
Just two extremes of the same spectrum.
exactly, like so they're destroying themselves. The one the definition of a high value woman to me is firstly a woman who takes care of themselves physically. They focused on perpetual mental and emotional improvement. They're grounded spiritually. That's the first part. The second part is their career doesn't dictate how they show up in social settings. So just because I am a high level executive, mean that I go in and try to be the boss bitch in every setting that I'm in. No, you need to learn to turn it off when you leave work. Like I'm a high level executive in work. When I leave work, I'm a woman. That's how it's supposed to be. When you're a high level executive in work, when you leave work, you're a woman. You're just a woman. Right? They're feminine in the way they speak, the way they interact with people. They're feminine. Again, turn off the high level executive. They're agreeable. Being agreeable doesn't mean yeah, yes, woman, everything you're saying yes. No, that's not what agreeable is. Agreeable means that it's not just about what you think is right. It means that you are open to learning something from someone that you may not have known before about that particular topic. That's all what agreeable means. They value family and they're respectful to everybody they meet. I saw a woman once. I saw a woman once interact with another woman in a food court,
Hmm.
right? She came, apparently, she probably called ahead with an order or something, and she came to pick up the order. And I came to pick up an order for this person or whatever. So the girl said, okay, no problem, hold on, let me go in the back. Could come to find out that the people who supposed to fulfill the order, they didn't fulfill the order yet, right? So the girl came back very, very politely. She said, I'm so sorry, miss. The order hasn't been fulfilled as yet, but we're going to work on it fast so that you could get the order. This was the woman. The woman was like, and thing, and there's one set of thing and problems and the girl was very, very polite. The server, she was very polite. She apologized beforehand and everything. And this woman, she ting and she turned up, she face and ting
Antics.
and antics, one set of antics.
Mm.
And my girlfriend watched me and was like, what happened to her? I was like, I don't know. She have problems. Turns out that if I remember correctly, my girlfriend knows her or knew her. Apparently, she either worked or works at a bank, right? And that is how she is all the time. And as far as she is aware, that person was never married. And I was like, I am not surprised. Because you don't know how to turn off boss. You don't know how to be feminine. You don't know how to treat people with respect and dignity.
Hmm.
And you have to realize that who you are as a person is more important than your career and how much money you make. I'm not saying forego your career, no, but understand your career does not define you. If you think your career defines you, Trust me, you're going to be alone.
You're going to be.
Alone.
Mhm.
If you go through life thinking that being a high level litigation lawyer or being a, a senior structural engineer at some major construction firm or whatever it is, trust me, you're going to be alone. And all of that doesn't wouldn't matter in the end.
Hmm. Remember, we had a conversation about character, and it's all you have.
Yeah, yeah, your character is all you have. At the end of the day, your character is all you have. Because people wouldn't want to be around you. And as much as you think you got everything on your own, and I did all this by myself, and I'm an independent person, and I didn't need anybody, and I'm self made, nobody is self made. Newsflash, sorry to burst your bubble, nobody is self made. All that knowledge you got to get a degree, you got it from professors and books. Who wrote the book? Somebody.
Else,
You,
somebody else.
yeah, somebody else. Did you manifest the book out of nowhere? Did you write that book and then study it for yourself? No. Did you prepare the lecture that helped you get the A in your final project?
Mhm.
Nobody is self-made. If we're being honest here, nobody is self-made. In order to be successful in that business, you would have need suppliers to give you the raw materials to build your product, or you would have read books or had experiences with other people that would have given you the necessary information to provide a high quality service to have a successful business. No one is self made.
Correct. Tying in with that is the independence aspect. Everybody is interdependent.
We are interdependent. We are a social species. We need each other to survive. And we need to realize that.
Yeah.
And that is how successful marriages work. We need to realize that we need each other. Like men have to get out of their own way and stop allowing their ego to dictate their lives and realize that we need women and we need a high value woman based on the definition that I would have given. Right? Someone who respects themselves, but at the same time, someone who respects you. As long as you're doing what you need to do as a man. Because I will be honest, like, it can't be no waste man by expecting high value woman. Again, you need to be what you want to attract.
Correct.
You need to be what you want to attract. You are a high value woman, be a high value man. Nobody's saying you have to be a millionaire. A high value man doesn't equate to being a millionaire. Again, your career and how much money you make doesn't define who you are. Because there's some low value millionaires, I will be honest.
Correct. The
There's
character.
some we have waste man that are millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about your career or how much money you make. Right? But if you want a high value woman, you need to be a high value man. If you want a, if ladies, if you want a high value man, you need to be a high value woman.
Maybe change you wish to see in the world.
Exactly. Like you can't want one particular thing, but you are not the person that will attract that particular thing.
Hmm.
If you want to be wealthy, you have to have a wealth mindset. Like you can't have a poor person's mindset, but you want to be wealthy. You can't keep telling you that I ain't have no money. And I'm saying this not just for the viewers and listeners. I'm saying this for me.
For us, yeah.
Yeah, because like I fall into it too. And you're like, well, gosh, but I don't have no money. And then you have to snap yourself out there. You have to snap yourself out there.
Again, it's the little things, the little habits that you had to change
Yeah,
daily.
yeah, and it comes back to the programming
Correct.
because apart from the social media and the TV shows and so on, there's also the social interaction with relatives and parents and other adults and again the people that are around you tend to shape the way your life is going to go. And if you are around people who just have poverty mindsets all the time, you're going to remain poor.
Right. And what we need to keep in mind, just a way of on a side channel a little bit, is that back to the trauma, is that there are people on, I don't want to say pedestals, but high platforms that are influential, but they themselves have not done the work necessary, and they are basically spreading the trauma that they have within their lives that they have not fixed, pretty much through uh, one of those broadcasting antennas, for want of a better
Yeah,
phrase.
yeah,
And the amount of people we have now in society like that, especially music artists, movie stars, these celebrities and so forth and so forth. Um, and they are perpetuating this same culture over and over, programming us, our children, and society on the whole. And every aspect, there's some seepage of that is coming. So it's like one person have, it's like a net. One person come with their trauma, connect to somebody else through with a mouth or whatever the case is, or over a broadcast. And then that person now connects to other people. And it's like trauma just building and building and building.
yeah,
And if one person decides to make a change, introspect, and have that paradigm shift, then it could also affect other people. Or at least if it doesn't affect other people, because at the end of the day, we only in control of ourselves, not responsible for anybody else. Um, you could break that. So in other words, that chain basically. So it's like a match. If you set a fire with a match and you line matches and you pull out one, it would break the fire. So we need to keep that in mind as well, because on top of that, as we mentioned previous about 2 episodes ago, we also have, well, we know the power of music. We know the power of influence via social media, especially now. And also you have parents that are, because quote unquote they're busy, the tablet is raising the child, unfortunately.
yeah,
So that programming already starting from young. The
yeah,
trauma that they're being exposed to, apart from in the home, they're getting it from outside too.
yeah, yeah. And there's also, like as I mentioned, celebrity. There's also the hypocrisy
Mhm.
of celebrities, especially the musical artists.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, because you tend to get it a lot with the female artists, but you also get with the males. But I'll use the females. Um, you would have some of them talking about independent and how you finesse this one and you don't need no man or whatever, whatever, whatever. But you married.
Hmm. Hmm.
You married, but you telling these young girls to finesse the fellas and to take them for what they have and live life and go on girls trips. But you married and you going home to be with your husband and your children.
But here's the other thing too, bro. As you know, if you're doing that over and over and over again, words have power.
Of course,
So
of course.
how many
Yeah,
celebrities?
so eventually they start having problems in their relationships too. But they're still married.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing, you know. Yeah, yeah. Like even like look, like there are male rappers who influenced generations of boys to you know have women and all these different women and hoes and area codes and
Mm,
all of these things. But they're married.
yeah.
They're married. That's again is the hypocrisy. Is the hypocrisy. You know. So
Do as I say, not as I do.
yeah. So you need to. I think as men, like I know this is a men's podcast, so I'm talking to the men here. As men, we need to realize that celebrity, these celebrities, they live in their own world, right? They live in their own world. That world gives them particular benefits. We don't live in that world.
Don't try to follow them.
So don't follow and
Follow
don't
them.
do the things that they say to do,
Correct. Don't
right?
emulate.
Because they're not helping you. They're not helping us. Like you want to live a comfortable life, like stress free. Like forget what they think. Figure out your like the things that you've gone through over the years. You need to figure out what caused those things, and you need to heal from those things. Right? And then we start moving forward into how we can be of value first to ourselves and then to community. And when we do that, then you don't have to go looking for a high value woman. A high value woman will find you.
Yep.
A high value woman will find you.
Again, be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah, yeah,
The only thing, the only species and nature that has changed is human being.
yeah. Because again, we think we know. The rest of animals, they're not doing that. They're just in tune. Like humans struggle again. I said it before. Humans struggle to be human. You don't see the other animals struggle. Like lions will struggle to be lions. Giraffes will struggle to be giraffes.
It just always
Falcons will struggle to be falcons. Falcons just trying to power dive at 236 miles per hour. Like not. Okay, I want to power dive at 236, but I could do
and
a
then
one. I could do
it,
a 120. I could do a 120 today. I'm not feeling to do a 236. You know. 'Cause I'm not sure if I could pull up now, but I'm kind of tired.
and I
That's
trust
that's that's how human. That's how humans are. That's how humans are. Like, oh God, I have to walk there. I can't feeling to walk there right now, because I just ain't feeling to.
and I walk a whole 2 or 5 blocks. Nah.
Nah, I can't do that. Go to the gym. Nah, but I like pizza. I like pizza. And I don't want. Like I don't want to go to the gym and the pizza ride my chest. Well, if the pizza ride in your chest, then you're not supposed to eat it. Like, but the point is that like we struggle to be human. Like we struggle to be the best version of ourselves, and we have to start thinking about how can I master myself. As a man, there are certain things you have to master. You have to master your mind. You have to master your body. You have to master your spirit, and you have to figure out your purpose in life. Your career may not be your purpose. There might be something else. Or your career is your purpose. We don't know. There's some people who love their job, they love what they do, they're happy. Then that just may be your purpose. Right? But for the others who live who in jobs that they're not happy with, then that just may not be a purpose, and you need to figure it out. But in order to do that, you have to master your mind. You have to take control of your ego. Your ego can't run your life. You have to control that. You have to tell it what to do, when to do it. And that is the only way we can elevate. We have to be we have to be masters of ourselves.
Yeah.
And then and only then you could consider getting married. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like you don't have to be supreme master of all that I purvey.
Master of the universe.
Yeah, you don't have to be that.
Master.
Like,
Calm down, here, man.
yeah, you don't have to be that. Like you just need to be on the path, on that journey. And when you're on that journey, then you'll start to realize that your reality is now starting to morph into something different.
Unfold.
Yeah. The friends that you keep, they're going to change. You're going to realize that you're losing friends. And they didn't get into an argument, they're just drifting apart. And you realize that the woman in your life starting to change. Like they're not the kind of woman you used to deal with before. They're different.
Mhm.
And the women that you're meeting now, none of them may be that person, but they're giving you hints of what could happen. That's essentially what they are. It's kind of like signs.
Glimpses. There's like
It's
glimpses of.
glimpses,
Uh,
glimpses into the future. Like, wow, she has a quality that I'm looking for. This one has a quality that I'm looking for. But I'm sure I'm going to meet someone with all of them, and it happens. Trust me, I know. And people like I'm not the only one. There's so many other people when they just choose to make certain decisions for themselves. But the person that they're going to end up with not going to be perfect. It can't be perfect for you though. They're going to be perfect, but it'll be perfect for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, thanks for answering the two-part question, bro.
Sorry, it take an hour and a half.
Hey, flow, the flow. But yeah. So thanks again, guys, for joining us in this week's episode. I hope that you learned as much as I did.
I learn myself too. I learn as well.
So we all learning together. Put aside our ego and let that humility come forward and apply apply to your life and share with others your experiences. Help somebody else. Be
Yeah.
interdependent, you know. So yeah. So that's again just a reminder that we are on all major podcasting platforms. You take it down below. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. We on IG as Ron mentioned at the beginning of the video. And the links are in the description, which you'll be seeing in the description box on YouTube, as well as our personal pages. Ron
Yeah.
Legacy Official, Nick Legacy Official.
Yep.
So, hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining us for our conversation. This was truly a conversation, a discussion.
Yeah.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Take care, guys.
Yeah, guys, take care.